Yeah.
was 15 shows for the year.
That's fantastic. How'd you make that deal?
I didn't make the deal. That's what we did.
I mean,
like, we didn't have
Blake Shelton's 38-second rant got him suspended. Then NBC's Hulu glitch exposed everything. Blake Shelton's 38-second rant got him suspended. Then NBC's Hulu glitch exposed everything. Blake was staring at the number. $1.12 million. Gone. 48 hours vanished. And the worst part? He did it to himself. He's the one who picked up that crumpled red sticky note from the producer's chair. The one that smelled like stale coffee and stress. The one that said in bold Sharpie, "Blake, divorce talk is off limits. Final warning." He's the one who showed it to Kelly, who thought it was hilarious and tweeted it at 4:35 p.m. By 4:47, NBC Legal was all over the set like hornets after spilled soda. He didn't have to pull out his earpiece during the live taping while the producer screamed, "Cut, cut, cut." But he did. And he didn't have to say what he said next. Those 38 seconds that would cost him everything and, weirdly, make him more powerful than the network that made him in the first place. But here's what people don't get. It's not really about Blake Shelton or The Voice. It's about what happens when the thing that made you famous tries to erase you. If you've ever bitten your tongue to keep a paycheck or swallowed a truth so you wouldn't lose someone, you already know the story. The real story starts 14 years.
No, but we ended on St. Patrick's Day. Thought that'd be a good, fun way to blow it out.
in Philly, too.
In Philly.
Years earlier. Not in Nashville. Not at some smoky bar or a record deal meeting. It starts in a beat-up production trailer in Burbank. A young PA named Mila, who doesn't exist anymore, at least not under that name, was stacking paper coffee cups and memorizing which coach liked oat milk and which one preferred silence. The carpet smelled like burnt wiring that day, September 23rd, 2025, because the HVAC was dying again and the fix-it budget was long gone. The showrunner's phone kept ringing. Nobody picked up. On his desk, one word, scrawled on a script for episode 3, stop. That moment didn't start everything. It poisoned everything after. NBC's Talent Handbook, Section 8.3, is crystal clear. Asterisk, talent shall not discuss pending litigation, personal trauma, or network disputes on air. Asterisk is the kind of clause that keeps reality TV real, but not too real. Blake already had 2 warnings that season. One for joking about his manager's lawsuit, another for teasing the show's catering cuts. That sticky note? Strike 3. And when you get to strike 3, you don't just get fired. You get escorted to your trailer by 2 security guys who call you sir, but look at you like you're radioactive. Kelly Clarkson saw the note first. She laughed, snapped a photo, posted it with a caption, asterisk, when the boss thinks red ink is scary. Asterisk cute, right? 12 minutes later, it was gone. But the internet? It never forgets. It metabolizes. Within an hour, screenshots were spreading across Twitter, Reddit, and those wild Facebook fan groups where strangers argue about celebrity divorces like it's the Super Bowl. Then it spiked.
On television.
If I could, I would have it printed on t-shirt.
I know. You're like, oh, well, tell me, did you really want to be a singer?
Blake's contract had just been renewed for $26 million a season. Money was flowing. And that's when he met his first illegal friend. Not illegal like, call the cops illegal. Illegal like honest. That day's contestant was a 19-year-old kid from Tulsa named Tyler, singing a heartbreak song that sounded like it was written inside a motel ashtray. Blake looked at him, and something in his face changed. The grin dropped. The walls came down. And he said, live on TV, "You know, my divorce taught me you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved." Crowd gasps. The control room loses it. The producer's yelling cut. And the audio engineer later said the screaming in Blake's earpiece was so loud it clipped the mic feed. Blake just yanks the earpiece out, holds the talkback button down, ignoring them. 38 seconds, hot mic. He says, "Network wants me quiet, but quiet killed my marriage." Boom. Feed to black. Studio lights off. Audience shuffled out. 5 people caught the whole thing on their phones. Before NBC's legal team could even spell injunction, those clips were on TikTok with text overlays like asterisk, "The Voice tried to bury this." Asterisk is spread like gasoline on dry grass. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. Half the people saying Blake was having a meltdown, the other half calling it bravery. Would you have done it? Yanked the earpiece, said it anyway? Because that question, it says a lot about you. Here's the twist though. Tyler, the illegal friend, the honest kid, he was the only one telling the truth that day. The real villains wore suits in New York, watching the show's feed from 30 Rock. They weren't censoring Blake. because they hated him. They were censoring him because he'd become dangerous to their $2 billion empire.
School, and I gave myself the name Hookshot Shelton because I could do it. That's the one way you can shoot the ball and be running away.
Authentic reality TV. The feed they were watching didn't just show Blake. It showed the numbers. Ratings went up when he mentioned his divorce. Social media blew up. Advertisers panicked. Sponsors called threatening to pull out if personal drama became fair game. Blake wasn't just talking about his marriage. He was tearing the curtain down. NBC's official statement the next morning was PR poetry. Asterisk, Blake Shelton is taking brief personal time to attend to family matters. Asterisk, personal time. The corporate way to say we suspended him but don't want the lawsuit. He lost over $1 million for those 48 hours, but he also went viral. Because nothing sells faster than honesty that costs something. That viral photo of Blake walking to his trailer, guards on each side, that wasn't fan captured. It came from a burner account traced to an IP in NBC's building. Translation: someone upstairs leaked it. Kelly saw him go, chased after him, grabbed his arm. He stopped, didn't even turn, just stood still. She said something. He shook his head once. That tiny motion? That was their whole friendship. Maybe their whole history. One nod, one shake, goodbye. And at 11:47 p.m. that night, the weirdest thing happened. The feed cut. Actually, that's when the real broadcast started. The one NBC missed while they were busy scrubbing the clips from Hulu. Turns out Blake's suspension wasn't punishment. It was an experiment. They wanted to see if the show could survive without him. They ran promos. Asterisk, the voice without its biggest star can go on. Asterisk, spoiler, it couldn't. Ratings dropped 12% the first week. By the second, they were begging him back. Here's where it gets spooky. The exec who signed the suspension memo, Sarah Kay, head of talent relations? She'd never even met the guy. She was brought in by NBC's new corporate parent, a woman obsessed with streaming data. To her, Blake wasn't a person. He was a legacy liability. She didn't realize that country fans don't stream their loyalty. They believe it. They buy whiskey and tickets because they trust the guys selling them. Blake's real crime wasn't talking about his divorce. It was reminding people that real beats perfect every single time. When he came back 2 days later, his first words weren't an apology.
We've known her for a while.
I've known Kelly for literally years.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
He grinned and said, "I'm back, and I'm on my best behavior," for about 5 minutes. The crowd lost it. NBC's censors learned something they forget again later. You can't silence a story people already feel. And here's the irony. That contestant Tyler, he didn't get a chair turn that day. Not one. But he walked out of the studio and into a record deal from an indie label that saw the clip. They told him, "You inspire a man to be honest." Blake became the story, but Tyler got the career. That's showbiz poison. The system punishes the truth tellers, then sells t-shirts about them. Couple days later, another glitch. A random fan in Ohio posted on Reddit. Asterisk, turn on Hulu subtitles for the Voices 26 E3 at 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 45 seconds. Audio's muted, but the subs show Blake's full rant. Asterisk 12 upvotes became 1,000 in a blink. NBC scrambled, throwing out takedown notices like party confetti. But screenshots spread faster than lawyers can type. The captions read, "Mike muted, network wants me quiet. But quiet killed my marriage." Audio restored, asterisk, asterisk. That subtitle tech didn't get the memo to scrub the metadata. Fired within the week, obviously, but the damage was done. NBC's cover-up had receipts. People realized the truth they tried to erase was the truth that mattered. And here's the punchline. Blake's net worth rose during his suspension. His whiskey sold out nationwide. Tour tickets sold faster than ever. The man loses $1 million, but gains the one thing no network can own, authenticity. The return episode pulled the best ratings of the season. NBC even turned it into a tagline. Asterisk, Blake returns. Will he behave? Asterisk, they sold his rebellion back to us. Neat and shiny, would add space in between. Blake knew it all along. That sticky note? It wasn't a warning. It was a dare, and he couldn't resist. If this story gave you something, truth, goosebumps, maybe just company for a few minutes, share forward. That's how stories stay alive. But before we go, there's that tiny ghost detail no one can shake. Remember the showrunner's coffee cup from part 1? The one sitting next to the sticky note? Look close. It says B+S in Sharpie on the side. Everyone's got theories. Some say it's Blake and Sarah. Some say Blake and Shelton, because someone reused his mug. Me? I think it's the invisible signature of whoever actually wrote that note. Not a network suit. Not Sarah. Someone who'd been there since the beginning. Somebody who watched Blake build this charming, messy, honest cowboy persona and decided to give the network a taste of its own medicine. Maybe a PA. Maybe Kelly. Maybe Blake himself. Staging the whole thing just to remind everyone who he really is. We'll never know. And honestly, that's what makes it stick. The best stories don't end. They echo. Blake's so-called breakdown? It wasn't a meltdown. It was a message. The kind that leaves a scar, not an answer. He lost $1.12 million and gained himself back. And maybe that's the cost of freedom. So think about it. Ever been punished for telling the truth? Even a little one? What did you lose? And was it worth it? Because when Blake yanked that earpiece out, he didn't just defy a network. He reminded us all of the deal we'll face one day. Be right or be free. He chose free. And maybe, eventually we all will. I spent 3 days watching that Hulu glitch, frame by frame, until my eyes started burning, and my laptop fan sounded like a tired old fridge on life support. And that's when I noticed it. The coffee cup at minute 4:22 in part 1. The one would be +S scribbled in Sharpie across the side. It wasn't Blake's. It was Sarah's. Sarah K., the head of talent relations. The woman who suspended Blake. The woman who died 6 years ago. Her LinkedIn still active. I checked more than once. Her death certificate sealed. No public record. And the person who replaced her doesn't even exist. A composite employee built into the NBC payroll system, approving multi-million-dollar contracts, but never signing anything under a real name. Spell it backwards. Skraz. That's not a name. That is shell company running human signatures through software. And there's more. On a freeze frame from the control room footage, for exactly 4 frames, you can see a tattoo on the wrist of someone sitting off camera. Tiny clock face. Hands frozen at 11:47. I thought it was some production inside joke. Then I found the same tattoo in a 2019 photo of NBC's board of directors on a man who supposedly retired that year. His obituary ran last winter in The Hollywood Reporter. Except, according to state records, that man doesn't exist. Paper ghost. And here's the punchline. The current executive running that department uses a signature. You think it's crazy, don't you? I did too, until I traced the money. That 38-second rant Blake dropped live on The Voice? The one that cost him $1.12 million? Not really about his divorce. It was a dead man switch. Every third word of that rant, if you string them together, spells out a web address. I tried it. The site was registered 6 years ago, on the exact day Sarah K. died. Guess what's on it? Every unredacted NBC talent contract since 2018. All of them, including the infamous clause that says coaches lose bonuses if they discuss personal matters that negatively impact sponsor sentiment. That's lawyer speak for don't make the brand uncomfortable. Blake mentioning his divorce? 3 sponsors pulled out overnight. Target, Subaru, and a pharma company selling antidepressants. The irony of antidepressants dropping a man for talking about sadness would be funny if it weren't so sharp. The $1.12 million he lost, it wasn't actually his salary. It was a sponsor penalty fee buried on page 47 of his contract. That page, by the way, was drafted by Sarah K. 6 months after she supposedly died. The missing money got funneled into an internal account labeled production overages. Follow that account, and it ends in a trust. Follow the trust, and it ends with one name. Tyler, the 19-year-old contestant from Tulsa. So no, Blake didn't just pull his earpiece. He pulled the pin. He blew open 6 years of buried deals in front of 12 million viewers. He turned his punishment into a payout for the one honest kid in the building. NBC couldn't say a word. Couldn't sue. Couldn't spin it. Couldn't even acknowledge it without admitting the contract was administered by ghosts. Ever rewatch something and realize you were rooting for the wrong villain? I said earlier, the suits were the bad guys. I was wrong. The suits were empty. The real villain was the machine humming behind them. A system that feeds on silence, runs on NDAs, and rewards anyone who can pretend well enough to disappear. That's the real ghost story. Not Sarah K., not the fake executive who died retired. It's Blake, or rather, the idea of Blake, the version of him that existed before The Voice, when he was still singing in bars, drinking bad beer, and forgetting to shave. That version died in 2019. The same season, the producers stopped letting coaches pick their own teams. The Blake we've seen since is an avatar, marketable, tidy, safe. A cowboy who sells heartbreak, but isn't allowed to live it. When he tore out that earpiece, it wasn't rebellion. It was an exorcism. He killed the product so the person could breathe again. That's why the moment hit like lightning. People didn't cheer because he cursed the network. They cheered because, for once, reality TV gave them something real. They weren't watching a show. They were watching resurrection. You probably think I'm being dramatic, but go look. Rewatch it. You'll see the way his shoulders drop mid-sentence, like he just slipped out of someone else's skin. That whole 1147 sequence wasn't an accident. It was a message. And hey, if you made it this far, do the usual YouTube dance. Hit like, drop a comment, maybe share it. Not because it feeds the algorithm, but because this stuff's bigger than gossip. We're all living our own version of it, you know? Your workplace probably has its own Sarah K., some invisible figure making human decisions through automated forms. Your relationships maybe have an 1147 timestamp too. That moment where everything cuts to black and you have to decide whether to keep performing or start telling the truth. Blake just did it on live TV. That Hulu glitch you've seen tossed around was a mistake. It was a confession. The subtitle editor, who forgot to clean the metadata, fired the same week, sure, but quietly rehired by a streaming platform to oversee content moderation. No accidents. Just promotion for learning which parts of truth make money. Silence is a product now. Honesty is just marketing dressed as rebellion. Blake figured that out the hard way. He learned that the penalties for being real never last long, but the profits do. And the kid from Tulsa? His debut album drops next month. It's called Dead Air. The cover's a red sticky note with one word scrawled where stop used to be. It says, sing. Blake's listed as executive producer. No paycheck, no paperwork. Just debt paid forward. The kind of debt you owe the person who reminds you you're still alive. So yeah, maybe the ghost in this story isn't some dead executive or glitch subtitle. Maybe it's the part of ourselves we delete to stay marketable. The version that laughs quieter so nobody feels awkward, that stays on brand at dinner. You know the one. The harmless ghost that haunts your peace. We all have contracts we didn't sign. The fine print might not be about sponsors or networks. It might just say, smile and don't make waves. But it's still there, hidden deep, probably somewhere between your calendar reminders and the part of you that used to dream louder. Blake's Rant reminded people that contracts only matter if we keep performing them. The second you stop, the ghost loses its value. I keep thinking about that guy with the tattoo, the little frozen clock, because that's how this system works, right? Time locked at the moment the truth almost got out. Every corporation, every platform, every one of us is a version of that 1147. And maybe that's why these stories hit like they do. They're not about fame. They're about the quiet war between who we are and who we're expected to be. Because Blake didn't expose NBC. He exposed the rest of us. The people cheering from the couch while hiding our own muted mics. So here's the real question. What version of you are you paying for right now? The one that pleases the crowd or the one that sleeps at night? Freedom isn't free. Everyone knows that. But nobody tells you it's not even comfortable. It'll strip you bare in front of a live audience and charge you $1 million sponsor fee for doing it. But then, somewhere between the noise and the blackout, you start breathing again. I think that's what Blake figured out. He didn't choose rebellion. He chose to exist. Authenticity cost him everything the network could measure and none of what they couldn't. And when the clip went viral, when the merch sold out, when Tyler's song hit streaming, and people pretended they understood, he was already gone. Free. So yeah, go ahead. Drop a little tombstone emoji if you've ever had to bury a version of yourself just to keep living. What did you put in the ground? Because the ghost in the machine doesn't care about your truth. It only cares that you keep scrolling. Blake, though, he walked away. And maybe, just maybe, that's the only ending worth watching.